This is a Rivarossi Santa Fe 080, and today we're going to be restoring it. Before we get into restoring this thing, let's give it a test run. I'll give it some power. It runs relatively fine. It's just a little noisy for my liking. But the biggest issue is the cosmetics, and I think we can get this thing to run significantly better with a good cleaning and some fresh oil. So let's get to work. Before we get too in-depth with this, I am going to be replacing some of the parts on this. The first of which, and it's probably the biggest improvement to this whole thing, is I have a brand new shelf for it. I bought this for like $5, so it's pretty nice. I believe this is off of a different road, but it's also number 102, so it might look a little bit odd, but it won't actually be anything wrong with it, so that's good. And I also have a new pilot that I can put on the front of this unit. I can disconnect it because this one is missing its pilot. I have this off of a Parts Proto 2000 unit that I have that I've just parted out and have been using for other stuff. So this will make for a new pilot, and this will replace the shell. I do not have a new boiler cap, bell, or feed water heater, so we're just going to have to be using it like this. But our first goal with this thing is I want to take this apart so I can wash off with some soap and water some of these individual components, because I'm not sure how good a lot of these are. We'll deal with the tender later, but I think, first of all, I want to start with the engine. I believe it might be these 4 screws right here that are actually holding the shell on, so I'm going to try removing these. Alright, so since I won't be using this shell, I am going to just start by removing some components from this, like this little part here, and I believe I need to remove the weight too. So that can be thrown aside for now. I can stick the weight in my parts bin, and we can get the cradle out of the way. So what I really want to do is I want to get as much off of here as I can. I'm not sure if I will get everything off, but I do want to see if I can detach the motor mostly. And then all I'm going to do is, as a full assembly, I want to go in and I want to just give this thing a quick wash with some soap and water. So I think what I'm going to do is just unscrew this contact. And that'll allow me to pull this motor and gearbox and contact way out of the way, and I can just clean off this. So I'm going to go take this along with this part over and just give them a really quick cleanup, and then I will return once they're all dry. Alright, so most of the parts are completely dried off, and now it's time to get into this thing. What I did off camera though is I've just wired up the headlight to connect to this shell instead of the other one. And other than that, not very much has been done. I've also done a little bit of work to the pilot truck because some stuff broke on that. But I think with this thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish removing this worm gear cover here first, and then we will take apart the bottom of this engine and we'll clean that out along with the worm gear. Now I'll set those out of the way over there. And I think before I go too in-depth with tearing the thing apart, I'm just going to clean up the housing for the worm gear, because I'm probably going to forget about it if I don't. Perfect. Now I'm just going to flip it over like this and remove all 4 screws down here. Means this plate will just be able to lift right up out of the way, and I can get access to all of the different wheel sets. And I'm just going to start cleaning them out and their axle bearings one by one. Now, I don't know why that spring would be just on the rear axle, but that's definitely something I should remember and not forget about. Now I can set that aside and we can clean out this base plate and then put some fresh oil into the system. All right, and then while I'm here, I'm just going to give all of these side rods just a little bit of fresh oil. All right, I think that's pretty good. Now I can focus on the worm gear and its cover. All right, now I believe I can get to work on the motor. I believe this thing has its own gearbox in here or something similar. Which it looks like right here there is a broken wire I will have to deal with too. I don't know if I did that while I was working on this thing or what, but we will see. All right, well I got this apart. I'm going to clean off both of these gears and just give them a little bit of fresh oil. Now, while I wait for that soldering iron to heat up, now that we've got fresh oil and everything should be put back together, first I'll just get this rear motor bearing. I'm going to just clean up a little bit, and then we will come back, resolder that wire, and then I think we can put this whole thing back together. All right, just like that, it's wired back up. And now I think all I really got left to do is stick this motor with the drive shaft back onto here, and then we can put this whole thing back together and then work on the pilot. All right, with that out of the way, I think I can work on some of the other shell pieces of this first. All right, I'm once again back. All I've done here is I've glued this pilot on. It's not perfect. I would like to reinforce this once we get the screw back on, but for now, I think this will hold and work just okay. I might add some reinforcements up here, but we will again see. So I think really all I have left to do is to put this boiler cap on and then try and put this shell back on the unit, which hopefully will be just as simple as it sounds. Alright, I'm going to try and get a longer screw, see if maybe that'll work, because this one seems too short for whatever reason. Alright, as you can see, apparently I didn't wait long enough, so now my pilot has come apart again. So all I'm going to do now is I just want to finish getting this shell fully attached, and then I'll mess with that pilot a little bit more. And once I've gotten that to a point where I'm satisfied with it, we'll go test this thing out. Alright, so now I'll return when I got the pilot fully mounted, and after that, it'll probably just be immediately testing the thing out. Alright, I think everything's been sorted, so I've got the 080 set up on the track, and I'll give the thing some power. And it seems to run pretty well. I am noticing that the headlight doesn't work, but that really is not my biggest concern. And this thing seems to run pretty well at slow speeds. So, I want to thank you all for watching.